It's 130 AC, Storm's End. Prince Lucerys Velaryon is fleeing for his life on his young dragon Arrax, desperately diving into a hurricane, thinking the storm will protect him from his pursuer. He's wrong, because chasing him through 100-mile-per-hour winds, through torrential rain that should ground any dragon, through lightning strikes hitting all around them, is Vhagar. And Vhagar doesn't just survive the storm, she uses it. She hunts better in it. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the biomechanical miracle that let one dragon breed turn the worst weather on Earth into their greatest tactical advantage. You'll learn about the forked tail that functioned like a biological gyroscope, the pressure wave halo that let them see invisible wind currents, and the doctrine that let them literally weaponize lightning strikes to kill thousands without breathing fire. Because while other dragons were beautiful, or massive, or fast, the Stormclaws were the dragons that made the phrase bad weather completely meaningless, and their descendants, like Vhagar, killed more dragons in history than any other breed, because they could fight when and where no one else could. This is the story of the dragons that conquered the impossible, and I promise you, by the end, you'll never look at Vhagar's kills the same way again. The Mantarys problem. Go back 6,800 years before Aegon's conquest. The city of Mantarys sits at the northern edge of the Valyrian freehold, where the Demon Road begins its march toward the eastern frontier. And Mantarys has a problem that's killing dragons. The region is a meteorological hellscape. Storm systems roll in from the Sea of Sighs without warning. 0 to hurricane in under an hour. Volcanic ash creates blackout conditions lasting days. Mountain passes, channel winds into 100-mile-per-hour crosswinds. Temperature drops 40 degrees when cold fronts collide with volcanic heat. Here's what this means. A colossus tries flying through Mantarys during a storm. The crosswinds slam them into cliff faces. Their massive bodies become sails, and they can't compensate. Dragons weighing 800 tons don't recover from those impacts. Sky Shriekers can fly above most weather, but can't patrol actual mountain passes from 20,000 feet. When they descend, sudden downdrafts catch their lightweight frames and send them tumbling. Several have literally been torn apart by shear forces. Even nimble wave runners and compact ember moors struggle. Mantarys doesn't have some bad weather. It has apocalyptic conditions constantly, and this matters strategically. Control Mantarys passes. Control eastern trade routes. Lose them. Lose a quarter of the freehold's commerce and create a staging ground for raiders who wait for storm season when dragons can't respond. House Khaedoris, controlling mining operations in the Mantarys Highlands, is bleeding wealth because supply routes close 6 months yearly. So around 6,800 BC, Lord Haron Khaedoris makes a decision everyone thinks is suicidal. Instead of breeding dragons that resist bad weather, he'll breed dragons that use it. Haron starts with scraggly mountain dragons naturally nesting in Mantarys cliff faces. Smaller breeds adapted to harsh conditions because they had no choice. Not impressive, malnourished, skittish, barely rideable. But they could fly during ash squalls. They could navigate crosswinds. They survived where purebred Valyrian dragons died. Khaedoris crossbreeds these survivors with heavier combat breeds, selecting for specific biomechanical traits most breeders didn't know existed. Haron's breeding of the Stormclaws took 4 generations to master. Each generation of evolution contributed milestone changes along the way. Generation 1. Wing flexibility. Dragons whose membranes can adjust tension independently in different sections. Generation 2. Tail structure. He breeds for split tails, forked structures that can move independently. Generation 3. The breakthrough. Dragons showing enlarged cranial structures, specialized organs sensing barometric pressure. Generation 4. A dragon is born that prefers flying in storms. When weather is calm, she's agitated. When hurricanes hit, she becomes focused, efficient, happy. Something in the breeding created neurology wired to enjoy chaos. That dragon's name is Stormborn. Foundation female for every Stormclaw bloodline that follows. Look closely at a Stormclaw wing, and you'll see bony protrusions along the leading edge, like teeth. These aren't decorative, they're vortex generators. When smooth airflow hits wings at high speed, it wants to stay attached, creating lift. In turbulent conditions, that flow separates, causing stalls. The serrations create tiny controlled vortices that re-energize the boundary layer and keep flow attached even in chaos. Same principle as slats on modern fighter jets. Result? Stormclaws maintain controlled flight in wind conditions, stalling any other dragon. They fly through microbursts, wind shear, crosswinds from multiple directions, and their wings just handle it. Most dragons have single-vane tails, good for steering, essentially passive. Stormclaw tails are forked, two independent vanes moving separately, twisting independently, oscillating at different frequencies. Watch a Stormclaw fly through turbulence, and the tail is in constant motion. Not big sweeps, tiny, rapid adjustments. Dozens per second. Each vane compensating for rotational forces. It creates active damping. When turbulence tries spinning the dragon, tail vanes automatically counter-rotate in precise ratios that cancel the spin. A biological gyroscope. The muscle coordination required is insane, operating at subconscious reflex speeds faster than thought. The pressure wave halo, specialized organ clusters in their skulls, branching networks of pressure-sensitive cells detecting barometric changes down to 0.1 millibars. Humans feel maybe 5 to 10 millibars, if rapid. Stormclaws feel variations 50 times smaller. Practically, they sense storms forming 50 miles away, detect wind shear events minutes before hitting that area, feel three-dimensional atmospheric pressure structure around them. Observers reported seeing faint shimmers around a Stormclaw's head, a pressure wave halo from actively sensing microscopic atmospheric changes. A Stormclaw doesn't fly blind through storms. It sees the pressure map, knows where updrafts and downdrafts are before entering them, navigates zero visibility conditions, ash squalls, fog, whiteout blizzards, because it's not using vision, it's feeling the shape of air itself. Dynamic wing loading. Normal dragons have fixed wing loading ratios. Stormclaws change their effective wing loading mid-flight by adjusting membrane tension and angle of attack in different wing sections independently. Crosswind from the left. Dragon instantly increases tension in left wing's outer section while decreasing right wing's inner section. The crosswind force converts into a controlled climbing turn instead of uncontrolled lateral push. Over 40 separate muscle groups controlling membrane tension compared to maybe 15 in normal breeds. Ice shedding. Those smooth, slate-gray scales are hydrophobic. Water beads off, but they can actively heat slightly. The dragon increases scale temperature by a few degrees, enough to melt ice forming on edges. Ice cracks and falls away. This burns extra metabolic energy. Stormclaws eat roughly twice what comparable ember maws consume. Expensive to maintain, but when you're the only dragon flying through winter storms while everyone's grounded, worth every copper. Now, I'm going to share the three distinct Stormclaw breed types. First is what they called pass wardens. They were typically 260 to 360 feet in wingspan. They were the smallest and most agile of the breed. They could navigate passes barely wider than wingspans, even in impossible crosswinds. Second is their storm riders. This class averaged around 360 to 420 feet in wingspan. They were the most common of the Stormclaws and took part in 10-hour patrols through conditions grounding everyone else. And third was their Thunder Titans, around 400 to 460 feet in wingspan. They were obviously the largest, a conscious mixed breed between Colossi and Stormclaws. Their hybrid nature combined storm capability with serious combat power. Around 5,800 BC, riders discovered Stormclaws could weaponize lightning. Their slate scales, metal-rich bones, flight patterns made them natural lightning rods. During thunderstorms, a Stormclaw positions above enemy formations. The dragon attracts lightning strikes, dozens hitting its reinforced scales, grounding through its conductive but insulated body. The dragon doesn't get hit. Whatever it hovers over does. Lightning striking concentrated troops, conducting through metal weapons and armor, men dying without the dragon breathing fire. Enistel Thunderback allegedly killed over 3,000 soldiers during one storm by hovering above their siege camp. During the Second Sky Wars, circa 950 to 900 BC, Stormclaws proved decisive. Sky families had faster Sky Shriekers, but only in good weather. When storms hit, Sky Shriekers grounded. Stormclaws launched, hitting nests and supply depots while enemies couldn't respond. Vhagar, the ultimate Stormclaw. When House Targaryen fled to Dragonstone in 114 BC, they brought Stormclaw genetics, producing history's most legendary combat dragon. Vhagar was a Colossus Stormclaw hybrid. Born in Valyria, 479-foot wingspan by the Dance of Dragons, combining massive size with full storm capability. 3 riders across nearly 2 centuries. Visenya Targaryen, Vhagar burned fleets in storms, attacked castles in conditions grounding Velaryon and Meraxes. The reason Aegon could campaign year-round. Laena Velaryon flew Vhagar across Essos through ash storms from ruined Valyria, killing lesser dragons. Aemon Targaryen, Vhagar killed more dragons than any other in Westerosi history. Arrax, Meleys, Caraxes, because she could fight in any conditions. When Lucerys fled into that hurricane at Storm's End, Vhagar used the storm to hunt. Pure Stormclaw instinct. The prey thinks weather is safety, the predator knows weather is advantage. Vhagar's unmatched combat record wasn't about size, it was about fighting when and where no one else could. So there's your answer. When you watch Storm's End wondering how Vhagar hunted through a hurricane, now you know. Serrated wing edges preventing stalling, pressure sense organs seeing invisible wind currents, 6,000 years of Valyrian breeding, creating a dragon that turned the worst weather on Earth into her greatest weapon. Stormclaws didn't just survive impossible conditions, they dominated them. And Vhagar proved across 2 centuries that when you can fight where no one else can, you become the most dangerous predator alive. Let me know which Valyrian breed to cover next and subscribe. We're rebuilding the Dragon Empire, one video at a time.